What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be taking a peek over here at the Bitcoin price chart as we've had big dramatic price action this morning. We'll probably take a peek over there at the Ethereum price chart as well and briefly talk about the altcoin market cap. Now, there's a ton to talk about in the market, especially with what's going on with XRP, considering that both Ripple and the SEC filed their motion for summary judgment Saturday night. The price of XRP since Friday acted like a whipsaw, heading up 23%. And then as the markets pulled back, pulling back 14%, taking back most of it. This is probably a topic of its own, and I'll probably put together a video just talking about everything going on with XRP and talking about the XRP price chart. But as we could see, this most recent price action really just in line with the aggressive action happening in the rest of the market. So let's talk about Bitcoin really quick. Now, I'll tell you what I'm doing here, right? Everybody do your own thing. Do not just copy me blindly. But I'll tell you, I've gone ahead and I've started stabbing at Bitcoin again. The last time I bought Bitcoin was back here on September 7th. This morning, right when I woke up and I saw what the prices were, I went ahead and took a bigger bite out of Bitcoin down here at these price levels. If you've been watching the channel, you know all my invalidations on what I think is going on with Bitcoin happen if we set a new low. So as prices are incredibly close to this low, a mere 5 to 6%, if we take out these lows, I will sell this Bitcoin that I am accumulating in here. But the question may be, why am I buying Bitcoin right here? Why am I not waiting? Bitcoin is currently at the 786 Fibonacci retracement level of the entire run up from C19. Also, it's at the previous all-time high over here on its market cap. It hit weekly oversold conditions, which marked the bottom of every bear market for Bitcoin. And we've had the 50-week and the 100-week cross themselves. They're moving averages every time that has happened throughout history. That marked that the bottom had already come in for Bitcoin. And even our capitulation fractals have matched. So it's pretty clear. All these conditions say the bottom is in. If the bottom's not in, if it goes lower, something else is at play. We're doing something totally different. And for that, I will step back, let go of this Bitcoin, and wait for things to get more clear before considering to add Bitcoin again. But as long as we're this close to it, I have no problem adding Bitcoin to my bag. It's just that if it goes below, I'll let go of it because suddenly things will no longer make sense compared to how things have played historically. So the question may also be, why add Bitcoin, right? Over 90% of my portfolio is altcoins. And I do have the mindset that the altcoins will perform better than Bitcoin. But why would I actually add Bitcoin? And I talked about this during the last cycle too. I talked about this in 2019, 2020, is that I add Bitcoin to my portfolio as an insurance policy. On August 28th of 2020, I had posted this tweet over here. And not proud of this tweet, but it's just how this market can play out. I said, imagine this hypothetical scenario playing out where Bitcoin breaks out into new all-time highs, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. FOMO for Bitcoin is insane and on financial media everywhere. XRP stays at 30 cents the entire time this is happening. What would you do? And at that time, the price of Bitcoin was $11,500. Imagine how that played out, right? 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. FOMO for Bitcoin and financial media. Is that not exactly how things played out? Because that's how they always end up playing out. But the point of this tweet and the follow-ups that came after that and the discussions were about me having some Bitcoin as an insurance policy against something like that happening. And that's what this is. So me adding Bitcoin, I could totally see Bitcoin just going into a retracement and never setting another new all-time high again. Boom, trigger the thumbs downs on this video. But I have to have an insurance policy against that being wrong. I expected Bitcoin to get into these price levels, and that would really be about all that Bitcoin would end up doing. Dear God, I didn't want that to be the case. But fortunately, having that insurance policy of Bitcoin did help me during the bull run. And having Ethereum. I know not everybody's favorite thing to hear. There's a lot of, there's a lot of tribalism in this, but I try not to treat it that way. I try to really just view the charts and compare the charts and see how everything behaves together. And so for Bitcoin, I'm stacking some for my insurance policy of if this market behaves similarly to how we have seen it behave before. If we start heading into a retrace and like the altcoins aren't taking off into that moment, what's going to happen? It should be a bunch of people like, oh no, and me too. But if I have some Bitcoin in that scenario, things will feel a little bit better in that moment. But again, If Bitcoin breaks down below here, God help us all, there's bigger problems in the market. It is not a let's go to $12,000 to $14,000 and everything is going to be sunshines and rainbows after that. I made a video about that on Friday, the big complications that would happen to that from an Elliott wave perspective, that we'd lose everything. Nothing in this market would matter anymore. Bitcoin's literally just in a crashing market. Ethereum's chart is also interesting as well. If you look at this, right, what does every single person who looks at a chart, what's the first thing they learn how to do? The first thing they learn how to do is look at trend lines. Then what do they end up learning how to do with trend lines? They end up finding a head and shoulders, right? That's like the first thing anybody ever learns when they look at a chart. And most new people depend on head and shoulders all the time. So I've seen it fail so many times. It's so hard to depend on it. But if we look at what is happening in here right now for Ethereum, you could say, hey, this is starting to look awfully like a head and shoulders emerging in here. Is these just right? Here we go. How do you measure a head and shoulders? You measure it by actually taking the length of the head through the neckline, and that gives you your full length of a head and shoulders, which takes you where? Right back down to the bottom all over again. If it is a head and shoulders, right? The most recent one, I was monitoring this one with TXMC. We watched a head and shoulders completely fail itself over here on the 10-year treasury yield. Being like, oh, hey, look at this head and shoulders that's emerging in here. Look at how it backtests it. It breaks down. Then what does it do? Just kidding. So outside of putting all the eggs in the basket on saying that it's an actual head and shoulders, what are the interesting things that are happening to Ethereum? This morning, it has come back to backtest really this kind of breakout level that took place back there in July. In addition, put this on the weekly time frame. What other thing did it do? Well, after crossing through the 200 week, we can see that this time it actually did end up hitting the 200 week this morning. So probably wanting to see Ethereum hold here too, as it's now at its 200 week once again. As for the actual altcoin market, it has not gotten back that far. It has not gotten back to that 200 week moving average. So it's still holding itself up here too. But you can see a lot of things, right? What would happen if Ethereum takes out its 200 week moving average? What would happen if the altcoin market took out its 200 week moving average, and then Bitcoin taking out its lows? All of these areas right here are have a lot of confluence to say they're incredibly interesting accumulation price levels for me. But there's no question, you start breaking through these, Ethereum starts breaking through. If Bitcoin starts breaking through, bigger problems are ahead. So for me, the amount of Bitcoin I actually bought in here was 3 times the amount of Bitcoin that I actually bought in here. I've talked about this, the wave counts that I always do, right? And so like for me, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see rolling back up to wave 4 within this wave, which means that if we end up getting another new low down in here, I will go ahead and make my last buys of Bitcoin that I intend to buy in this area. I will officially be done if we get one new low down in here after rolling back up to wave 4. That we have just like our kind of final extension that comes in here. That's where I'll grab it and I will be done. And then, like I've been saying, I'll have a stop loss set. You break through 17,500. Everything we've ever talked about on here with how Bitcoin has behaved historically, oversold RSI, 50-week crossing the 100-week, capitulation fractals, all that stuff. We'll have something different playing. The thing about stop losses and the way that the market works, how can they actually work? How can the market makers go on to get you? They can come down here, they can scoop your stop loss, and then they can go ahead and start rolling their way back up. And if they do that, so be it. That's what they'll do. They'll take me out. But then I'll be sitting back waiting to say, what's my clear conviction at this point? But really, I'm trying to sound level-headed. I'm trying to sound calm in all of this because the reality is I'm excited that I'm getting to buy Bitcoin right now. I'm excited that I'm getting to buy these lows. I love all these things. I love all these confluences that we see happening in the market and the price level that we're at here on the 786 and the previous all-time high. So it's kind of like my thoughts are, this is the last chance to buy Bitcoin at these price levels. But there's a clear invalidation on it right here. And that would make me very concerned about Bitcoin should we set a new low, because that's not anything that we should be doing based on how Bitcoin's behavior has historically worked. And I also want to make it very clear, I'm not a trade caller. This is not a trade caller telling you where the next 100x is, giving you a bunch of baloney. I don't do trade calls on this channel, and I'm not giving you a trade call here to do this. But I was very clear when I was selling my Bitcoin at higher prices. I've given all the justifications on here to show how Bitcoin's confluence to the past is very similar to what bottoms have looked like historically. And for that, I'm going to buy it. do not tune into this channel or subscribe to this channel thinking you're going to get trade calls. You're not. The primary focus of this channel is just analyzing the market behavior. How does it have confluence to the past? What are the similarities? And we dive into the charts. I'm not going to tell you when to buy, when to sell, ever. But Bitcoin's the big boy of the space. The majority of people are screaming that we're going lower. My thoughts are if we do go any lower, Bitcoin's in a much worse position than it could be. And for that, since we're at such epic support, where it's like a must-hold support, I'm going to buy it. Simple as that. So I'll be keeping my eyes open for Bitcoin throughout the rest of the day to see if we can go get a new low set below 18,255. If we get our way in here, I will go ahead and make my final big buy of Bitcoin in here. And well, if I get stopped out from in here, that's just life. But I'm much more willing to do that with Bitcoin here than from way up into the dumb money zone. We're definitely in a highly attractive area where there's so much invalidation that happens here if a new low gets taken out that I'm excited that I'm actually getting to buy it here. And what's kind of funny about this too, I'm looking at it, is that like just kind of looking back like to the altcoin market, how it has long drawn out bottom that happened in here. But just kind of that we had the same kind of thing, right? Just kind of a grind our way back up, falling, a quick move up, a quick move back down, without taking out the low, and that was the end of the move. So definitely see these things happen in here, and that's really kind of what we've had happen over here for Bitcoin, moving its way back down. Maybe the last chance. We'll see, but I'm a buyer. And, well, with Bitcoin now getting back above $19,000, we'll see if that option even ends up coming. I hope it does, because I'll take it. But we'll see how it plays out throughout the next day, and we'll check in on it again tomorrow. So, all right, we'll keep this one pretty brief, and I've got it recorded early so I can hopefully get this video out earlier today for a lot of action on a Monday morning. Want to try to get a video out much quicker. I'll start working on an XRP video next. There's so much to talk about going on with XRP, from price action to the SEC, Ripple, regulations, just so much to talk about. I look forward to putting together an XRP video. For those who caught the end of the video on Friday, I made a really long video on Friday. I gave you guys a fish tank update in there as well. I do think I've got this algae bloom getting under control, so I'm excited to share that with you guys on Friday. Otherwise, lots of action out there in the market today. Bitcoin's getting a little bit of a bounce, but we'll see how that follows through. Otherwise, I'm wrapping this thing up. That's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.